This is Dissecting the Market. I'm James, and today we're looking at Faraday Futures and their possible SPAC merger with Property Solutions Aqcuisitions Corp. So today I want to talk to you about yet another SPAC EV merger. Now I know we've had quite a few of them on the channel, but there seems to be a lot of money flowing into these SPACs at the moment, so we may as well go with the flow rather than try and fight against it. There does seem to be quite a bit of money to be made, especially at the moment with all the hype around the EV industry. Now I know there was a Bloomberg article yesterday to say that Lucid Air and CCIV would be merging or possibly merging. I was lucky enough to grab some shares at 11.50, but I've seen since then there's a lot of YouTubers covering the subject, so I thought instead I'd talk to you about a different merger which has gone maybe a little bit more under the radar than that one. I think Lucid took a little bit of the steam away from it, but that's the merger between Faraday and Property Solutions Aqcuisitions Corp, which again was a leak via Bloomberg a couple of days ago. So first off, let's have a quick look at Faraday Futures and what they do. Faraday Futures are an EV manufacturer who were established in 2014, and for a number of years, many thought this was the company to compete with Tesla. Their car looks extremely luxurious inside, with special seating that looks different to any car manufacturer I've seen before, and a very exciting looking infotainment system, with all the latest integration with smartphones and smartwatches. On top of this, it also boasts a 2.39 second 0 to 60 time with over 1,000 horsepower and 300 plus miles range, and level 2 autonomous driving built into all of their cars. All wrapped up in a fairly nice looking SUV known as the FF91. We can even see lots of footage of this car dating back 4 or 5 years, with various motoring journalists doing positive articles on the car. It looks set to be a real challenger to Tesla. The car was due to launch a couple of years ago, and with its impressive looking spec sheet, I'm sure you're wondering what's happened and where did it all go wrong for Faraday Futures, and do they in fact still have a future? So to understand the issues of Faraday, we first need to look at its founder and former CEO Zhao Yaoting. Zhao founded a company in China called Li Eco back in 2011. This company was involved in everything from cloud space and software through to EV cars and bikes. However, the company ran into financial difficulty, and Zhao actually ended up leaving China and Li Auto with lots of debt in 2017. He then moved to the US to work on Faraday Futures, a company he co-founded in 2014. He then assigned himself the CEO position at Faraday in 2017. Zhao also made some very strange decisions, such as buying a 20% stake in their rival Lucid Motors. This while being massively in debt in China, and in Lucid, a company he didn't even want to succeed, which was very strange, and this sort of behaviour, coupled with massive personal debt in China, meant that investors and financial institutions didn't want to lend money to Faraday or get involved in the company. And as with most EV startups, funding is hugely important in scaling up their operation. They had big plans to build a massive factory, but the plans fell through when they were refused funding. They were forced to lay off staff and scrap plans for a launch in 2017-2018. Zhao's personal finances finally caught up with him in 2019. He filed for bankruptcy, all his assets were frozen, he lost his stake in Faraday, and he also stepped down as CEO in 2019. So where are Faraday Futures now, and what are we looking like going forward? Well, the good news is things are starting to look better for Faraday. The new CEO, Carsten Bretfield, looks to have an impressive history, having spent 20 years working with BMW as Group Vice President, and he was head of BMW i8 supercar project. Since taking over in September, Carsten has already managed to secure 300 million of funding and has announced in October 2020 that they are seeking a SPAC company to bring them public, thus helping them raise an additional 800 to 900 million in funding. So this leads us to where we are today. So cutting through all these issues that the company has had in the past, they look to have a really interesting and unique car. I personally really like the interior and love how they've used an electric platform to reinvent the interior. It's something I've not seen with any of the other manufacturers. On top of all this, the car will be extremely fast with its 0-60 time of 2.39 seconds, and with a tri-motor setup and over 1,000 horsepower, it's certainly something I'm excited to see on the road. What I also like is they've had this car for several years now, unlike many of its rivals. Its issues have mainly been around funding, so it's given them time to fine-tune the car to where it is today. So with the funding side of things looking like it will now be in place, this car could potentially be on the road within the next year or so. So this is now up about 17% since we got the rumour through from Bloomberg about the merger. So do keep in mind that this could drop back down 17% if that rumour isn't true. However, it's one I'm quite keen on, so I picked up shares yesterday at 11.60. I think the news about Lucid, which is another really exciting EV company coming out around the same time, has taken a little bit of the steam away from Faraday. However, I'm hoping that's just given me a good chance to get in before hopefully another run. If you found this video helpful, please remember to give my channel a thumbs up and subscribe to it so you don't miss any of my future videos. I'll see you on the next one.